Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil Amuti, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Happy Wednesday, great girlfriends. I hope fall has been treating you well. A shout out to all my beautiful great girlfriends in New York who I miss. And I know y'all are flexing with your fall gear. We don't get to do that in LA. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Because I know y'all New York girls. I know how y'all move. I know the boots are out. I know the skirts are out. I know the sweaters are coming out. Like I can feel it all happening. Hair colors changing over for the
Yep.
fall. I know what's happening. I know what y'all doing. And I'm watching on Instagram. But I'm so excited because I've been having a time of my life in this series that we kicked off in honor of my Support Your Girlfriends community, How She Did It, which talks about women in my community who have overcome different things, who have disrupted their markets, who've started new businesses, who've made pivots, who have made, had all types of shifts and turns, but managed to rise above all the challenges. And so I'm super excited because the woman that I have on today is a serial, and I mean serial entrepreneur. She's an investor, she's a wife, she's a mom, she's a great girlfriend, she's a sister, she's a best friend. She's all right, and she's a Harlem
Yep.
girl. And I love her dearly. And she's also my very first roomie from the Glossy Posse trip. So I had the privilege of rooming with Shay. And let me just say all this. We got matched in rooms, didn't know who we're going to be with. I was
Oh,
very nervous. I said, oh God, oh God. Then I got Shay and I was like, yeah.
and I felt your energy and I said, I'm home.
I said, I could do this. She could be my roommate every year. She is eternally roomie to me. So I'm introducing to you my roomie, Shay Wood. Hey, Shay.
Hey, Sybil. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so proud of this platform and everything you're doing. I'm so excited that you started this series with our sisters. So I know that I've been loving watching everyone. So I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you, friend. When I say cereal, I started thinking through all of the businesses and I was like, nope, you can't name that one. You can't name that one. You can't name that. You can't name them all, Sybil. Let Shay name and just tell everyone about all of the amazing businesses that you have started and maintained and just about your story.
Well, thank you. So yeah, I always have to tell about all of my businesses because I feel like they're all related. So I
Yes.
do call myself a serial entrepreneur. I started my own business with my then boyfriend, now husband, in 1992 when I was a junior at Columbia University in my dorm, literally on not even my computer, on a typewriter.
Yeah.
So 5001 Flavors is my first business. It's a custom clothing company. We work with different personalities in the entertainment industry. So you can think of Lady Gaga, Fat Joe, DJ Khaled, Daddy Yankee. We've been working with the who's who and all types of music industry, sports, athletes, red carpet, small carpet. So any and everything you see on stage, on the red carpet, on a big screen, we've done it. We've done it all. And so we've just celebrated our 32nd year in business. I'm super proud of that. Harlem Haberdashery was my next business. It's a retail store, a retail clothing store. We knew that we had a large following because of our, exclusive work with celebrities, but now we work with people who are not celebrities but have their own red carpet moments. So we have a retail boutique that caters to people who want to dress and be fly just like celebrities. We parlayed that into HH Bespoke Spirits. It's like brand expanding into one brand. HH Bespoke Spirit is an extension of Harlem Haberdashery. We feel like if you're going to go to a party and, it's celebratory, you might as well have our spirits. So we have a run, a gin, and a vodka. And, last and but not least, we started HH Bespoke water during the COVID, because a lot of people say, well, I don't drink spirits, but you drink water.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is just about the evolution of the brand, the evolution of being an entrepreneur, bringing more of my family members into the fold. My brother and my kids were young when we started, and now we are the first family of fashion. We have several different brands. It's about evolving and changing the family and breaking generational curses. So it's like perfect for me because I was able to break my generational curse with my business.
You did. You truly did. I tell you that you left out of business or no? Do we talk about the eyewear as a partnership?
Well, we did not. So Harlem
I was like, are we
Haberdashery.
not talking about the specs?
So
Like,
Harlem Haberdashery, like I said, is a retail boutique, but we also have done a lot of really cool brand expansions. So these glasses I have are Harlem Haberdashery, but in affiliation with Vontel Eyewear. We partnered with a female Black-owned um, eyewear brand, Vontel Eyewear. Tracy and Nancy, I love them. And so this is a collabo that we have with them. So it's still under the Harlem Haberdashery brand. It's just not separate. But my goal really with Harlem Haberdashery is to go mass. That's really why I started it. And so that kind of is the business that I'm trying to figure out. Does it franchise? Is it more stores, or is it different products that kind of mimic what we would sell in Harlem Haberdashery?
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. You said a really big word when you said I broke generational curses with my business. And I have the privilege of knowing your backstory and going, wow. Like, honestly, just I'm
Mm-hmm.
in awe of you as a woman and all of the twists and turns that you have managed to navigate through and come out so beautiful, so strong, so vibrant, and
Thank
so
you.
vulnerable and peaceful. You have all of those things going for you. But I know that all of that came with pressure. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
talk a bit about the generational curses, because so many great girlfriends that are listening are bonded to those things. They are
Yeah.
tied to those curses. They have said, "This is my story. This is the way it will be. I was born into this. It's just the way it goes." If you're, my
Right.
family has always, they have always, we have always, and it's, so many great girlfriends listening are on the backhand of those
Yeah.
things and have never seen the sunshine. So I'm curious
Yes.
for you, what were those things that you considered well, let's go here. What is a generational curse? Some of the things that you considered curses or were curses for your family.
I think for me, it's kind of the scarcity mindset versus abundance.
Mm,
Um, sometimes it's situations that people put themselves in that don't seem to serve the family well.
yeah.
I call my brother a generational curse breaker because he's the first male in my family essentially not to be incarcerated. That was a huge generational curse. So I am a child of incarcerated person, and in some respect children also do the time. So that was definitely a curse that I didn't even know I had to break.
Mm,
I didn't have the verbiage when I was younger, when I was a teen or I was in college, to know about generational curses. You just do what you do. But as you get older, it's a great thing, technology, you start to learn and see how other people are living. You're realizing that we are really trapped by a lot of things that we don't think that we can break through. And so as I got older, as I'm on the other side of 50, I'm really understanding, when you create the roadmap for yourself, for your life, you usually do what you see being done. And sometimes that's not good. And so just because I wasn't taught that I needed to break a curse or what is a curse, I had enough foresight to know that how I thought I should be living, it didn't feel good to me. And so when you know better, you do better. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of courage to be like, something ain't right. Let me change. My mom was a teenage mom. I knew growing up, I was like, this doesn't quite seem to be something that I want to do. Alcoholism was very rampant in my family, and I'm like, they don't look like they're having such a great time. Their lives don't seem to be going as well as they think it is. So it was just a lot of things as a young person. I said to myself, I really am gonna map out a different life for me because I want different
mm-hmm.
outcomes. Um, I had the pleasure as a sixth grader to be selected to go to Prep for Prep, which is in New York City. It's a college preparatory program, and I started to go to private school. I went to Riverdale Country School, middle school and high school. And I realized, wait a minute, there are two different lives being lived here. And so I would leave Harlem, I would go to private school, and I was like blown away. When they talk about the shock of, going from a public school to a private school, it's real. It's a
Mm-hmm.
cultural shock, it's an economic shock. And I was like, wow, my cousins do not have the same education. They don't have the same mindset. They don't have the same goals being set. And so the second I walked into my school, it wasn't if you're going to school, it's where you're going to school. So that mindset just totally changed. And we started to do a lot of self-reflection about, being, we talked about this summer, being a captain of your ship and being in charge of your own destiny, and how you right now in your young age get to control who you are. And
Yeah.
so my daughter is 16, but I tell her all the time that right now you are determining what type of woman you will become, what type of spouse you will become, what type of mom. Right now in your young age, you are making decisions for your family, the next generation. And we don't really realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when our families don't have the tools to teach us who to be, we kind of grasp. We don't know where we're going. But I always say that our families teach us who to be or who not to be, and we have to be wise enough to know what path we're going to take.
Oh, that's so
Um,
good. Our families teach us who we're going to be or who we're not going to be. Something that
yes,
you touched on lightly, but I do want to add volume to is the environment. When you layer all of those complexities, those generational curses inside of Harlem in the 80s and 90s with the backdrop of what was happening culturally in Harlem. There was a lot of heavy drug climate in Harlem at the time. It was a very, very tough time for
mhm,
that beautiful, I love me some Harlem, that beautiful
yes,
neighborhood. And you layer that complexity and the population. So you pile your curses alongside those that other people are dealing with. The peer influence is
yes,
very heavy, right? And so I feel you got accepted in sixth grade, but somewhere along the way, your mother committed to disrupting this pattern because she said
absolutely.
yes to right. And so, because if you had stayed in school in Harlem, I'm curious who would Shay be today versus
I think
Mama.
about that all the time.
Yeah.
So my mom, shout out to my mom,
Hey,
Esther
Mama.
Barnett.
Hey,
Oh, please,
Mama.
please give her a shout out, Esther Barnett.
Hey, Esther Barnett, we
Um,
love you and we thank God for you, and your kids are amazing and you have done a wonderful job, Mama.
yes.
Yeah.
So if you love me, you absolutely love my mom. She was a fierce, tell it like it is. Well, she still is a fierce, tell it like it is. Um, I remember my mom when she graduated from high school. I mean, straight up. So me and my mom grew up together.
Yeah.
My mom was a Harlem girl, but very, very um like just spoke her mind and taught me to speak my mind and always had me think outside of myself.
Mhm.
And as much as that has gotten her in trouble with her family being the big mouth, it has served me well because it told me that I really had to teach the world how to treat me. And so if it had not been for her and her foresight and her tenacity and her pouring into me, I probably would not have been went to prep for prep because it was hard, it was demanding, it was during the summer, it was during winter break, it was after school, it was before school, it was all these things. But sometimes people know that they have to help you do better. And so I'm so thankful that she was my mom. I'm so thankful that she pushed me. I loved going to school. I'm so grateful for the resources, and I know that there were so many other young talented people in the community that did not have the opportunities that, so that's never lost on me.
Mhm.
But I'm so grateful that I was able to kind of see the world and see how great I could be if I just expanded my mind. And I think a lot of times that's what we need.
Mhm.
I think that everyone grows up exactly where they're supposed to be. I'm so grateful I had the family that I have. I don't have any regrets about what happened in the past or where I was born, because I feel like this is exactly where I needed to be. And
Mhm.
so I tell everybody, no matter what type of family they came from, what type of dysfunction, low lying fruit, there's always the miracle of your life, your that the fact that you can breathe, the fact that you can move and work. And so I don't have any regrets. I just know that my goal now that I have the verbiage and knowledge is that I definitely want to emphasize the generational strength of my family versus falling into the curse.
Mm.
And so, I said this when we had our discussion, is that generational curse ran in my family until it ran into me. And I think that I know that there are a lot of strong people out there, no matter where they came from, that's not where you have to wind up, and that's not where you have to head. You have the ability to change your direction in any way you want. It just literally is a conversation with yourself, and where you came from is not where you're going.
Mm. Shay, that was like bars on bars on bars. I love
Well,
that.
you know, I did my TEDx talk on generational curses. So.
You better do it. You better do it. And now generational strength, because you and Guy both um, have packed so much muscle and might and grit into developing your legacy. Like
Mhm.
you're living out this new chapter, these new pages of your legacy. You redefine your relationship with the
Yep.
very same neighborhood where so many things were on the backdrop of your childhood. Now you are there economically invested in the very same territory where you
Yeah.
grew up. And you're also pouring the opportunity into your community. And you're also amplifying the power, the strength, and the resilience of that community. So I love that heritage. And I have such a great respect for you all.
Thank you.
I'm not even trying to pump you at all, but it is legit. I mean, you don't need pumping, you're already, but I'm just saying there's so much heritage in the work that you do. Um,
Well, I
because,
appreciate that. So I am
yes,
also
heritage.
board president of Take Care of Harlem. It's my brother's 501(c)(3). And
Yeah,
our goal really is to amplify Harlem, but also pour back into the youth of Harlem. Me and my brother are both from Harlem. We love Harlem. Harlem raised us. And so we really are trying to honor the young people in Harlem so that they can see that you can be from that Harlem and succeed and give back.
yeah,
So, like I said, my dad is incarcerated. My dad did not take care of Harlem. He's unfortunately, serving a very lengthy jail term, and that's his own story to tell. But my brother and I try to celebrate Harlem and try to give back to Harlem because we know that the 70s and 80s was not a good time for Harlem.
mhm,
And so to kind of, rectify what we feel like the members of the communities there, we're going to give back. We're going to pour into the youth. We're going to help with youth preservation organizations. We're going to, pour into the boys and girls of Harlem, give back cool for school for our school supply drives, give back on our toy drive. And it really is about changing history. We're breaking curses, but we're also changing the trajectory of our family. And so when we talk about the new Black Wall Street that we're building, that's collaborative. That's collaborative economics. That's working with each other. That's pulling each other up. That's, saying people's names in rooms that they're not in. That's connecting people to resources. That is where our community is going to succeed when we all try to collaborate and break our collective generational curses, because that's what we need. We need a community that thrives and works together.
yeah. So when you talk about that, and you say generational strength, I see so many layers of that because so many people have not been able to maintain their strength because their families can't do the together thing.
Right.
That's
But we're so resilient. Black and brown people are so resilient. We make something
sure.
out of nothing all the time. We
Yep.
make joy when there are no resources. We make good food when we don't have the ingredients. We do it all. And
Yeah.
so instead of concentrating on what we don't have, I always try to concentrate on what we do have. We're rich in
Yep.
so much. We're rich in spirit and and vibrance and music and culture and all types of fantastic things. So I would prefer that we all concentrate on the strength. There is great strength in our parents and grandmothers, who made it through the civil rights, who couldn't vote, couldn't have a credit card. There's like so many different things that our people have overcome. That we come from a long line of strong people, and so I do try to lean into generational strength versus emphasizing and harping on generational curses. But you have to acknowledge them so you can break them.
Right.
But they
Very,
don't
very
define
cool.
you. There,
Yeah.
you are not shackled by who you were born to, what family you were born into, what resources you didn't have. But you have to believe that. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times people get stuck to what they don't have instead of trying to forge a forward, motion for themselves.
Hmm. I think as I listen to Shay, one of the things that comes to mind for me is that I don't ever hear you run from the story. I don't
Right.
ever hear shame, right? I don't hear you saying, my poor mother, my poor father, my poor
Right.
brother and I never hear that type of language from you. I always hear empowered language. And shame is what keeps people from really being able to make forward movement. There is
Yep.
so much, even when we understand that we've had trauma and tragedy in our past, but owning our power to move through it gives us permission to have generational strength. That's what I
Yes.
see from you.
Well, thank you. There's really nothing you can do besides accept it. It's almost a given. This is what happened. It's a
Yeah.
fact. But
Yeah.
honestly, I wouldn't change not one thing about who I am because I am so very happy about who I am. And so every single little thing had to happen. There are so many miracles that had to happen for everybody to be here. And so if I change one, I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't have the husband I have. I wouldn't have the daughter. So there's nothing I want to change because I want to be exactly who I am now.
Mm,
So it's nothing to be shameful about. It's just a fact. It happened. I stated it and I can move on. I don't live in it. It doesn't define me in terms of the fact that I can't talk about it. Is it something that maybe I don't want to think about all the time? Yes.
mhm.
But I never have any shame about not being as rich as I wanted to be at this point. So why would I have shame about something I couldn't even control in my past? I'm in
Did,
charge
did,
of
did
me
fifth
right now.
grade, did fifth or sixth grade Shay have shame at the time? Like, was there, if
Not
you can go
really.
back.
I was not really. I think, and this is when I really tell people that you have to be very careful how you speak to your kids because that will define how they grow up. And I never had any shame. My mom always empowered me. And also I didn't do anything wrong. you
Right.
know, it was part of my story, but it wasn't me.
Hmm.
So I never had any shame. Unfortunately, my dad is incarcerated. It makes me sad because I know how other children of incarcerated parents feel. It's sad. It's not good going to jail. It's not good going to, having a person that you love in jail, but it never defined me. And I just never had that shame because, my mom would tell me that it wasn't my fault. And so we have to be very careful though, as parents and family members about how we talk to kids because kids do internalize that. And so
Yeah.
I think that if we become better community members and are concerned and care about what's going on in the community, and we have to be a little bit softer with each other and how we talk to each other and how we treat each other, and stop projecting a lot of the problems that I think people project on other people because they are not happy with themselves. But shame was nothing I ever felt. If it probably was angst or discomfort, or sadness, because it's a hard situation going through life, knowing that one of your parents is not there. So I'm always um, really thankful that my mom was such a strong influence and kind of breathe life into me to kind of boost my self-esteem up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, because I love that. I think that shame piece is a tool of the enemy to really keep people
Yep.
contained in curses because you'll then feel like you're not worthy of the light. Like you'll continue to say, this is what it is. Let me just stay here. And that's even, and for many great girlfriends who'll go, well, my dad's not incarcerated, but you might feel shame about something else, right? You
Right.
might feel cursed because maybe in your family, your mother divorced and now you divorced, or you're, facing that decision, or maybe college,
Yes.
maybe business, maybe whatever it is. Is for us to be reminded that there is strength in us overcoming and taking ownership of the
Yes.
fact that we didn't make those choices. We
We
didn't
didn't
make
make
those,
it,
and
and
we
I
get to
think
make
that
new choices.
everyone has a story to tell. And
Yeah.
for me, I never compare myself to other people. I'm the only person I compare myself is last year, Shay. And so, um, one thing I know for sure is that I'm trying the best. I'm doing the very best that I can.
Mhm.
And like the saying says, when you know better, you do better. And so I'm on a journey to become the best me. And that means that I want my life to be as fulfilled as I want it to be. And so I think um, people do have to bring joy into their life. And sometimes it could be the acceptance of what happened so you can move forward. But I'm always trying to forge a path forward. Not that I'm not looking back, but I'm also realizing that where I want to go is a little bit further on than where I am now. And so forward moving, I'm always moving forward. I'm always trying to figure out what's next, bigger, better for myself. And still, recognizing what happened in my past and who my family is. But I do see a lot of people getting stuck. And so the only thing I could say is, sometimes you have to have a meeting with yourself and kind of remap, give yourself new tools. Sometimes it's give yourself a new scenery, new friends, a new mindset. You is sometimes you have to speak to people and sometimes you have to be silent. You have to do whatever you need to do for you to be the best you possible before you can be worried about other people or family members. And I know that it's hard, but as a mom, I know that if I'm not full, I can't pour into my daughter and I can't love my husband. So it really, self-care is really important, but also you have to be accountable to, what type of person you want to be and not worry about, what people told you are. You have to really figure out who you are for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Is Sydney's life a dream come true for you?
Um, I knew and loved Sydney
Look
before she
how
was.
you smile when I say her name. I ain't even got to say the whole name. I just say Sydney.
I knew Sydney was going to be a girl, first of all, because I prayed for it for a long time. Because I was going to be one and done. Because I only got one kid. You know what? It's better. It's different than my life. Could it be better? Yes. But I think she lives a fantastic life, and because I feel like it literally was planned. Like everything is, I'm very intentional. I was an older mom. I thought I was young, but they told me I had a geriatric pregnancy at 35.
They make everybody feel 80 when they go, you're like, wait, I'm like 30 something. What we doing?
I
Yeah.
was 35 and I was like, geriatric, are you talking to me? But I was very specific about the type of mom I wanted to be. I wanted to be a wife first, before I was a mom. And I had Sydney at 35 and my business was established. So I had the flexibility to be the type of mom. So it was everything that I wanted to be, motherhood was, and so now me and Guy are getting ready to celebrate our 18th wedding anniversary next year. And Sydney was right behind it. Sydney was born 1 year and 1 day after our first wedding anniversary. So literally, I was 9 months pregnant on my first anniversary. Like, you're not coming out today. So the next day she was born. But so I'm happy. She's about to go to college. And the life that she is living is definitely the life that I wanted. So I'm so thankful for that. But it comes out of it was a lot of sacrifice for people before me for me to be who I am. And so I'm so grateful, for the strength of the people before me that they poured into me and that I was able to be the mom that I wanted to be and be the wife that I wanted to be. So even though people say that, generational curses kind of define them, once you identify them and break them, your life can just really open up. So I'm so happy. I think, my job as a mom is to make this world a better place for her, for your kids. That's what you do. That's what you and your husband do every day. And I love to see the fruits of my labor, like, because even my brother, one generation away, I see the difference in him, for his life. And so even for my daughters, even more. When I went to college, I struggled to go to college. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have books, I didn't have the right equipment. I didn't have sheets. 10 years later, after, starting my own business, my brother went to college. It was even a whole nother experience for him. He was able to finish school with little or no debt. He was able to immediately go to a master's program. And so even within my generation, I was able to see how breaking a generational curse and starting my own business benefited him. So then when my daughter comes along many years later, it's almost like it's two generations. So I can actually see how having a different mindset has benefited my family.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes me happier because, oh, I'm doing something that I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Um, and so I encourage everybody to kind of really sit down and assess who you are, who you want to be, and make sure there's a total alignment of who you are, who people think you are, and how you show up. And for me, it really was about a purpose driven conversation with myself about, okay, this is who I want to be, instead of just being whoever I became.
Mm-hmm. You said so many, Shay, girl. Anyway, girl, you've said so many powerful things, and I think such a big piece of that, that sit down conversation with yourself. And I was just talking about this on the last episode with Andrea. I do a personal SWOT analysis on me. It's me versus me.
Ah,
I
I
do.
love
I
it.
know we do it in business, but and every year at the Ready Set Go Challenge in the community, we do SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, analyze yourself and figure
Yep.
out all the internal factors that influence your decision making, because you do have the power to choose. Then, like you said, once you had the power to choose, when I asked you if Sydney's life was a dream come true, you said Sydney's life was planned. You start planning forward movement. You plan for
Yes.
a certain life that would afford you the opportunities and possibilities that you're able to have with your family. And for Sydney, now you're giving her that tool, because when
Yes.
she goes out in the world and her becoming story is taking place, she will have that entire kit. She'll have hair,
Yes.
she'll have love, she'll have devotion, she'll have planning, she'll have overcoming, negativity. She'll have denying shame. She'll have all these things in her toolkit, and she's going to be able to use that to mobilize her generation to move and navigate the way you do. I
And
know
I
Esther
wish
is like, well, y'all are Esther's dream come true. I'm here to tell
oh,
you,
the
honey,
fact that you said her name twice, she's gonna love you, Sybil, because she's always like, You didn't give me my flowers." But I
girl.
told her that I give her flowers every day when I step out and I do what I'm supposed to do when I take care of my family.
Yes.
Um, I know that I want my daughter to stand on my shoulders, to be able to stand on a platform of who I were, who I am and who I was as a young lady. I know a lot of times that sometimes people are alone, they don't feel like they have that, and sometimes you have to create that. And so it's not just blood family that helps you break those curses. It's friends, it's the friendship, it's sisterhood. You got to get you some people, find people that are like-minded and like-hearted. So like the great girlfriends community. Sometimes you got to create your own family because the family you have is not good,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
and that's okay. And there's one, like we said, nothing to be ashamed of, but also you don't have to stay in that. If something doesn't serve you well, I always tell people, if you step away, loving people from afar is not a crime. And then sometimes you gotta do you. You have
Yes.
to do what fits you. And so sometimes that does mean stepping away, because sometimes acknowledging and trying to change it is too much. A lot of times people try to pull you back in or pull you down or pull you over, but you have to stay your course and you have to run your race. And I don't feel bad about anybody that tells me, "Oh, I'm not really in contact with my family anymore because," and I understand.
Yeah,
You definitely
absolutely.
have to do you.
Yeah. It tells me everything. I'm like, respect. Yeah, you do
Yes,
it.
yes,
You do, because there are so many different types of toxicity, and they show up in different parts of your life in different ways. And when
yep,
you realize that you need that space, the most courageous thing you can do is honor that moment by taking it, as long as
yep,
you, because you don't need to be poisoned, because that generational strength has to be maintained. Like you all
yes.
maintaining that.
Right.
Shay, I am like, this was so good.
Well, I love you, Sybil.
Love you too. I feel like you got that rocking chair wisdom. Like you just magnetic
Oh
dropping.
Lord,
You just,
I don't went from auntie to grandma.
it's just, I'm like, Shay, it's like you've been here 10 times and back again. Like
You
the
know
wisdom
what?
is so layered.
I feel like I have been here a few times, and sometimes, and once at least, I think I was a man because I
Well, you were fine. If you were, you was a
Sure
handful.
was. But I'm so thankful for this platform. I love, the positivity you're putting in the universe. I love that you're getting people to kind of think outside of themselves and just bringing all the positive energy. So I receive it and I love it. And I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your heart, your blueprint, your wisdom. You're giving somebody life. I'm telling you, on this
Love it.
episode alone, many somebodies. Where can the great girlfriends keep up with you, learn more about your businesses, and just kind of keep follow the life lately with Shay?
I love it. So I am Shay S Wood on Instagram, ShaysWood. Follow me. That's the best way. Follow me because one, I need followers. Two, Instagram is probably where you can really connect with me. DM me, mention me, like my pictures, comment on my pictures. And I usually follow up with everybody from there. It's just easier. I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook, but that's my long government name, Shireen Wood. So that's more business. IG is where the fun happens.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Shay. Hashtag Romy, hashtag fave, hashtag I love her, hashtag Harlem.
And I'm gonna start calling you more. I didn't want to call you because I didn't want to talk before the podcast, but I gotta call. I have to be
Talk for.
about calling my girlfriend.
Oh no, I love you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, great girlfriends, for listening.
All right, great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends, follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends, and on Twitter at _great GFS. I'm Sibylla Muti, and I'm out.